everyone, and welcome to today's episode of the vlog and the last one of the year. I'm going to take a couple of weeks off over the holiday period, so this will be the last vlog of the year, but we do have lots to come in next year, the 2023 season of Cars for Paul. But today I wanted to talk to you about what it's like owning an electric car in the cold weather and an electric car that is 8 years old. Yes, so my Tesla is 8 years old. It is a P85 model, so it's got quite a large battery capacity. But how does that capacity stand when it comes to cold? Now, if you've been living under a rock, you'll know that the UK has had a pretty cold week in terms of the temperature. And today I need to make a journey up to Farnborough from Dorset. So the journey is about 80 miles, 79 miles there and back. Oh no, 79 miles back. So 180 miles total journey time. And that's something that my car should be able to do quite comfortably, because on a full charge, and the car is fully charged, the range of the car is about between 273 and 279, depending on what time of the year you charge. So in the summer, or when I had it, when it was warmer, I was getting 279. I think today when I charge it, it was around 273. So with a range of 180 odd miles, that should leave me with just under 90 miles, I guess, of range without charging it. So there and back, we should be able to do that. So let's see if the car can do that. But first, I want to deal with an issue that I dealt with in my last Tesla video. So do you remember when the Tesla tech or the Tesla support guy said this to me? I'm assuming I can't use supercharging on other networks as well?
For us, it would just be the Tesla ones that they wouldn't be able to support. As for any third-party chargers, you should be fine with those.
Yeah, I can charge my Tesla and get supercharging at different or at third-party companies' charging stations. Well, I'm going to test that. Now, my car has the CCS module installed onto it, and what that is, it allows you to use a CCS plugin that plugs into the CCS adapter. So the CCS adapter, if you don't know, it's like got a little bubble at the end. I'll show a picture of one on screen here. And what that does is it basically converts it to a type 2 connector, which is what most of the older Teslas have. And it allows you to supercharge. So that means that if you had supercharging at a Tesla station, you could use both the new style and the old style ones. So based on what he said, I'm going to take my car to a BP power station or charger and see if we can use the supercharger. Let's see what happens. Okay, so we are supercharging, or we're attempting to supercharge. So I've got my CCS adapter on the end, and we're seeing if the charger will actually pick up. We've got the blue lights on, blue lights saying that it's communicating, but will it charge? Now, Polar BP, they do work with my car, I know that. So we're just going to see if we actually get a charge. It's connecting and it says error in communicating. So it's saying disconnect and start again. So it's failed. So supercharging does not work from other vendors. Okay, so we're trying it again. Supercharging. This time it's connected, but we can definitely see the red lights. It's trying to communicate with the car using the CCS. And it has failed. It's completely failed. So the Tesla support guy was completely wrong. And I kind of knew that was the case, because how would they differentiate between a Tesla charger? I know the car does communicate with Tesla when you use a Tesla supercharger, but it basically, what they've done is they've disabled the DC charger, and that's where how supercharging works. So essentially, with a normal charger, you plug in the charger, and then it goes through an AC converter, which then converts it to DC, which is what a car battery needs. And the supercharger, you basically, it bypasses the AC charger and just uses a DC charger, and that's the reason, and that's how you can get the higher rate of charge. So what the Tesla support guy told me was completely wrong. I can't supercharge because Tesla have disabled supercharging on my car. Thank you, Tesla. So let's watch this space, because I think that things will change. I think things have to change. And interestingly, quite a few of you on the Tesla comments said, well, yeah, you would pay the £643, which is what Tesla was going to charge me to do an inspection. Well, I would pay as well if I knew absolutely for sure that I was going to get supercharging. But one of my subscribers, he actually did that, and I think I might just put the post somewhere here. And what he found was that even after the check, all that they guaranteed was that the techs would be willing to work on his car, on his DC charger. Without that check, they wouldn't work on it. And the check had nothing to do with actually allowing or enabling supercharger. So based on the fact that I've been given the wrong information from a Tesla tech or Tesla support guy, I'm not sure whether the original guy who said take your car down to get checked was correct. I think I might just investigate this one further. So watch this space. This is not over. Right, let's move on, shall we? So what is it like driving an 8-year-old Tesla in the cold? Well, we're about to find out. So we're going to go and do our journey now, and car's fully charged, so let's kick off. Okay, so this car is now fully charged. We're charged at 100% now. So as you can see, fully charged, it's going to give us about 277 miles. And the temperature at the moment is -6, so it's pretty cold. It's 1 o'clock. We are now getting ready. Well, we're going tomorrow morning, but I just wanted to show you the car fully charged. So we are going to Farnborough, and we're going to see how this car, this 8-year-old Tesla, fares in the cold weather. Okay, so at this point I'm at work, and as you can see, the car was 277 miles. Okay, I then drive from work to home. That's a distance of 9 miles, 8.9 to be precise. Okay, I've then parked the car overnight, and I turned on the preconditioner of the vehicle. Okay, so what that does is it pre-warms the battery. You tell it what time you're departing, so we're going to be departing at 7 o'clock. So what the car will do is it will start to warm up the batteries, but also warms up the cabin as well, because it uses the same heat basically. But the batteries need to be warmed to operate at an optimum temperature. Also, what you'll find is that the vehicle itself, the regenerative braking is really low when you first start the car up in the cold, because the batteries are not at their most efficient. So regenerative braking does not work efficiently, and that's to protect the car, because the regenerative braking is done obviously by the motor. But if you start to throw a whole lot of voltage into a very cold set of batteries, you potentially could damage it. So you need to warm the batteries up first before regenerative braking works properly. Okay, so bear that in mind. It's been cold, -4 overnight, and it's prepared the car. Look how much energy has been used in our next clip. Alright, so we're starting our journey. Our journey is going to take us 77 miles today. So a round trip of about 160 miles. As you can see, my mileage is on 245 miles, and the outside temperature is -4. Let's see how this car does in this cold weather journey. This journey basically consists of some motorway driving. You can see our route there. It's going to take us up to Farnborough, and Ideally, this car should be able to do this journey in one charge, there and back. We are going to charge it halfway.
Onto Livingston Road.
Thank you. We'll see how we get on when we get to our destination. We'll see how many miles are left. We should be 77 miles less, but we'll see what the actual true mileage is. To help the car, we're going to stick it into range mode, and what that will do is it will lower the temperatures of the, we can hear the fans are dropping already. That's going to preserve or conserve some of the power. So we lost 32 miles just driving from home and then parking the car overnight and prepping the battery. 32 miles. Now that's quite a large chunk of battery when you think about it. And I know you might think, well, actually, is it really? I mean, 32 miles. But what we've got to think about is that if you had to leave your car for a week or so, that's something that you need to take into consideration, because you need to know that when you come back to the vehicle that you can move the vehicle and go to a charging station, because you'll need to do that. And that it's going to use power while the car is away. Now my car is actually set to use minimal power overnight. And yet you can see how much of the battery it actually uses. And again, this is during the winter. It's because it's cold, it's using that amount of battery. And I probably wouldn't want it any other way. And don't get me wrong, I'm not whinging about this. This is an informative video just to help you to appreciate what you need to take into consideration when you own an electric car. Okay, especially if you buy one of the smaller battery model Tesla Model S's. Because there's two other cars that have a smaller range than what mine's do, and that's something that you just need to take into consideration. Okay, so how much battery do we have after our 78-mile journey? Let's find out. Okay, so we have reached our destination, and as you can see, looking at my miles, you can see that we've got 104 miles left, and we've done 78 miles, so call it 79 miles. So what we should have had left is 166, but instead we have 104, which means that we've done 160 miles, or we've used 160 miles, so we don't have enough of a charge to get home. So we're going to need to top up the car. And really, this is exactly the issues you have when you drive an electric car in the cold. It just doesn't like the cold. Batteries do not cope well and they use up more energy. So the temperature is -2. For our journey, we've used up 429 kilowatts or watt miles of energy, which is quite a lot. And we've only been traveling, like I said, for an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to put this car on the charger now and charge it up for my journey back. Now I'm going to show you something that I've seen before and I've read in the various posts, and in fact it's becoming a bit of a problem. So a lot of charging stations, they have mitigated against this, but rather than me explain, let me show you. Oh, and this is another thing that people do. So we've been on this charger for about an hour and 23 minutes. This guy here, he'd plug the charger in, but wasn't actually using the charger just so that he can park here, which is a really horrible thing that people do sometimes. The only reason why I knew that was because when I checked the charger, it was saying that it wasn't charging. So we're about done now. I'm actually going to put it back in its charging bay, because when people do that, that's just wrong. Right, let's finish and head on back. Now, why do people do that? Well, the reason why is free parking. When you're parking there, all right, you're paying for the charge, all right, but you'll find that electric parking spaces or electric charging spaces are the most convenient spaces for people. Now, that was in a hotel, and that car park was a pay by phone car park. So that guy had parked his car there, and he was there the whole time. I was there like a few hours. And he was there, and I arrived and he was plugged in, and I thought, oh, I'd have to wait for him to finish, because there was only a single charger on that station, and there's only one type 2 charger, which is what my Tesla takes. The rest was CCS and CHAdeMO, which is what the Nissans use. So I was waiting there for about 10 minutes, and I thought, okay, I'm going to check the app, the BP app, to make sure I can use the app, because I've got credit on the BP app, and that's what I was using to charge the car. And I noticed that the app was said that this charger, the Type 2 charger, is available. And I thought strange, checked the charger, and the charger said ready, which meant that nothing was going on. So I literally took the charger from this chap's car, or whoever's car it was, and it came out. It wasn't even plugged in. It was literally just resting to make out that he was charging the vehicle. That is so wrong that people do that. Because I could have been waiting there for hours waiting for this charger, and indeed I was gone a good hour and a half, and I came back and his car was still there with his charging door open. And you know, it's so, that's just incensed me when people do that. And it's just because they don't want to pay it. And the thing is, a lot of the charging companies, what they're doing now is they charge a dwell time. So if you are in a parking bay and you're finished charging, you haven't moved by a certain amount of time, they will actually charge for that. The car has to be charged, has to be plugged in for that dwell time to kick in. So he hadn't plugged it in. And if you're thinking, oh, I've taken the charge, his car could have been charging, it doesn't work like that. On electric cars, when you plug it in, it locks into place. So no one can take it out unless they break your charger, and it will literally pull out the charging mount because a bolt goes through into the charger. So you'll either break the charger itself or you'll pull out the electric charger mount. So if you're concerned that I pulled out someone else's charging while their car was charging, that was definitely not the case. It was literally just resting, and it's only because I looked at their charger and I could see that it wasn't plugged in that I knew that he was just using it to make out that he was charging. But to the untrained person who's never used a charger, you wouldn't know any different. So yeah, it's a really bad thing. And perhaps I would have had a word or two, a very gentlemanly word, if I had bumped into him. Anyway, the car was charged after an hour and a half, and we were ready to go. So, how much did it cost me? I'll tell you that in a second. Okay, so we have now put back a whole lot of charge. We've got 223 miles, which is good. So we're going to head back home. Another 77 miles, and then we'll see what the journey has taken. Now, I was conservative when I was driving here. I was driving sort of 60 miles an hour on my way home because I know I've got a charger that works. I'm going to drive on my normal rate and we'll see what that figure looks like. So 223 miles now. Let's see what she looks like when we get home. Right, so we made my journey home. How much did it cost me to be on that charger? Well, I will tell you. So I was parked on the BP, you'll see it on the screen just here. So I was parked up on the BP charger for 1 hour and 24 minutes and 48 seconds. The unit cost was 67 pence, and the total energy consumed or taken on board was 32.575 kilowatts. Now that cost me £21 and 81 pence, because that's plus inclusive of VAT. £21 and 81 pence. Now if I had paid that both ways, that would have cost me around £40. And I know what you're saying straight away, 74 miles or 160 odd miles, 40 odd pound if I was paying for that. That's more expensive than having a car. And indeed, you're right. An economical car would do that for perhaps half that, maybe even less than that. But don't forget, that's using the public charger, okay? So the public chargers are much more expensive than domestic charging. I think domestic charging is around 27 pence. So it's, you know, double, almost 3 times in some rates. I think it's 27 pence. Is it 27 pence? What do I pay for my electricity? I've just got it here in my Tesla app. So my charging rate is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, 27 pence. That's what I pay for my domestic. And that's just standard rate. Off peak, I get even cheaper. I can't remember what that is. I haven't got it in that. So off peak is even cheaper. So if I was charging at home, then it will still be cheaper to do so. But it's just when you start using the public infrastructure, it gets very expensive. And don't forget, I get free charging at work. So my journey up there was completely free. And at a push, if I had driven really conservative, and that's like 55 miles an hour all the way there and all the way back, I could just make it back, I reckon. I wouldn't try it because the range anxiety would just absolutely kill me, but I could potentially. So all right, so what was the mileage when we got back after charging the car for an hour and a half? What was we left with in the pot? And we are back home. Now, I have done, as you can see, 83.9 miles, call it 84 miles on the journey home, because I had to do a few errands, so slightly more mileage. But look at how many miles we've got left. 93 miles. That's all that we've got left on our charge. That is terrible when you think about it. Now, and of course, I say it's terrible. It is what happens with electric cars in the winter. Their range is not that good. Because you're charging, not only are you driving the car using the main battery, but you're also heating the car using the main battery and anything else that you are doing as well. Plus the cold and batteries just don't seem to mix. Temperature outside at the moment is 9 degrees, as you can see. So it's warmed up considerably from time this morning. But yeah, this is the consequence. But do you know what? It's not a problem. And before the keyboard warriors get out there, I don't find that this is a problem. The only thing that I probably do find a bit of an issue was how much it costs to charge. In fact, let's go inside and discuss that. Well, we've already discussed it, so we don't need to go back over that road. But yeah, so in conclusion, do I like electric cars? Yeah, I love them. I love electric cars, but I love petrol cars even more. And as long as I can buy a petrol car, I will always have one. You know, there's just nothing to compare. The sound and the smell of an engine is absolutely, that's what my passion is. But having an electric car is very convenient in the sense that you can pre-warm the car in the winter, which I'm a massive fan of, getting in the car and it's already de-iced, etc. And also the instant power, the instant kick you get, nothing can compare that. I took some of my work colleagues out for lunch, and boy, even with 5 people in the car, that car can still go, and it even fishtailed at one stage as well. That's how much power that these cars have. So from that point of view, I will always also have an electric car as part of my fleet, and the fact that I'm getting free fuel for the moment is a no-brainer as to the reason why I would have one. So the only difference is that when you drive an electric car, you just got to plan your journey differently to when you do a petrol car. If I was going up north, up to Scotland, would I take it? Maybe, but I'd have to plan my journey differently. But I still will always have a petrol car to enjoy and to take out and to do those journeys as well. And I'd probably take the petrol car, especially now that fuel prices are more reasonable. So it makes absolute sense to do that. So I hope you enjoyed this insight owning an electric vehicle and some of the trials and issues that we have to go through. In the meantime, don't forget to subscribe down below, click on the bell notification so that you're notified whenever we release a new video. And that's it for this year. No more videos until next year. I've got a few videos that I'm still doing for next year, so those will be released as time goes, but I'm going to enjoy a couple weeks off, as I know that most of you will do. So we will see you on not the first Monday, it will be the second week in January. So I think it's Monday the 3rd. There'll be no video Monday the 3rd. There'll be no video on the 26th, which is officially a bank holiday. Our first video I think will be the 8th or the 9th. So we will see you then.